Did Boris Johnson's helpers cheerfully celebrate a Christmas party while the country was in lockdown? This is a question that is causing a stir in Great Britain. The Prime Minister is trying to limit the damage, and on Wednesday there was a first resignation. They are said to have celebrated when hundreds died and millions were not allowed to see their loved ones. And days later, they joked in front of the camera about the blatant breach of the rules. An explosive video from Downing Street of a suspected Christmas party by government officials during the corona lockdown a year ago puts UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson under considerable pressure. It says in the room that Johnson, who therefore did not attend the party, lied about the event. What a surprise. In the British Parliament, the House of Commons, the Prime Minister met with a heated mood on Wednesday. Boos accompanied Johnson on the way to his seat. For opposition leader Keir Starmer, one thing is clear. The Prime Minister no longer has his business under control. The group leader of the Scottish National Party, the SNP, Ian Blackford, urged Johnson with emotional words to resign. Parliament Speaker of the House, Lindsay Hoyle, had urged to calm several times. Above all, it's about a video in which the Premier's closest confidants are obviously laughing and thinking about how to gloss over the party. But Johnson said in Parliament, "I apologise wholeheartedly for the offence it has created across the country, and I apologise for the impression it creates." He should have apologised for his lies, because he denied it until then. There will be an internal investigation and the government will cooperate with the police, he assured. Furthermore, Johnson emphasized that he had been repeatedly assured that there had not been a party and that corona rules had not been broken. Johnson pushed the possible responsibility onto the employees. If rules were broken, there would be serious consequences. The first resignation followed on Wednesday. Johnson's former spokeswoman Allegra Stratton tearfully apologized for her remarks in the published video and resigned her post as government spokeswoman for the COP26 climate summit. But given that the climate summit ended several weeks ago, this is not a particularly momentous move. Johnson, on the other hand, was demonstratively unimpressed in Parliament by the allegation and calls for resignation. He accused the opposition of digging up old stories to play political games. He, on the other hand, is looking ahead and leading the country out of the corona crisis. But Johnson's defense strategy doesn't seem to get caught up in the population for the first time. According to a poll commissioned by the news broadcaster Sky News, 63% of British people believe that Johnson is not telling the truth. Less than 1 in 10 said they believed the Prime Minister's assurances. Finally, people are waking up. In the Tory party, meanwhile, there are increasing voices that doubt whether any stricter rules due to the Omicron variant can be enforced at all if the population is given the impression that the government is measuring two different standards. In Downing Street, according to information from several media outlets, 40 to 50 employees celebrated closely with wine and appetizers on December 18th in 2020, and there's even talk of further parties on Downing Street during the lockdown. And that guy lives there, by the way, and he doesn't know anything. Okay. Back then, there were strict corona restrictions. Parties and gatherings were forbidden. The government did not deny the event, but has been emphasizing for days that no corona rules has been violated, as Johnson did once again in Parliament. And that despite the fact that the broadcaster ITV released that video on Tuesday evening that was recorded a few days later on December 22nd in 2020 in Downing Street. And there, in the lead role, was Johnson's then spokeswoman Stratton, who was rehearsing for a press conference. An employee jokingly asked Stratton after the party, and those present joke about wine and cheese. This fictional party was a business meeting and there were no social distance rules, replied Stratton with a laugh. The response was devastating. ITV presenter Tom Bradby told his audience of millions, "They are laughing at us. You, me, all of us." The worst thing for Johnson is now the open criticism from his own party. And Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross said if Johnson had deceived Parliament, he would have to resign. And several MPs recalled that many people were not allowed to say goodbye to dying relatives and friends at that time. On December 18th in 2020, the government reported 514 corona deaths in one day. A senior NHS Health Service official said it was a severe blow to morale. It will be much more difficult for people to adhere to rules if decision makers do not follow them themselves, said Matthew Taylor, the broadcaster of Sky News. This is to the broadcaster Sky News. This is currently all the more devastating as the Omicron variant of the coronavirus is spreading rapidly in the UK. Johnson is currently even considering, contrary to his earlier announcement, to require vaccination certificates to attend major events, and about Plan B I talk later today. The celebration is not the only current scandal. Several media outlets reported at that time that Johnson and his wife Kerry Johnson campaigned for dozens of cats and dogs to be flown out of a British veterans' shelter during the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, at the expense of British citizens and Afghan workers. Johnson rejected this indignantly. A letter from his assistant Trudy Harrison seems to confirm the reports. And once again, that's not the first scandal for Boris Johnson either. 2020 was not an easy year for Boris Johnson, and that might have led to some parties there, I don't know. In addition to the Brexit negotiations and his hesitant and confused efforts to cope with some, the current Prime Minister of the United Kingdom fell seriously ill with COVID-19, became a father, and had his planned wedding to Carrie Symonds, the former head of communications for the Conservative Party. So you can hardly blame the couple for doing what others did during the lockdowns, throwing themselves into a renovation project. But unlike the rest of us, who have spent the past 14 months repainting walls or looking for new office furniture or redoing their studio, Johnson and Symonds have learned that their wallpaper tastes have been scrutinized from a moral point of view. In late 2021, the UK's Electoral Commission, an independent oversight body, opened an investigation into allegations that Johnson and Symonds had extensively remodeled their apartment at 11 Downing Street, that's next to the Prime Minister's office, with undeclared funds from one or more donors of the Conservative Party. According to the Daily Mail, an initial assessment by the Commission has shown that there is a reasonable suspicion that a crime or crimes may have been committed. It is allegedly £58,000 of undeclared Tory money that was used for the renovation. Some UK media even put the amount at £200,000. In any case, that's almost double the £30,000 annual facility budget allocated to Prime Ministers living on Downing Street, well over the £500 threshold that would be exceeded by loans or donations to UK MPs or government officials within 28 days and must be reported. Apart from the question marks surrounding the origin of the funds, this is not the first time that a Prime Minister has renovated the official residence on Downing Street and has made the headlines. The Blairs were already criticized in 2002 for their expensive furnishings, out of their own pocket, by the way. And David Cameron and Theresa May each brought their own personal design preferences to those premises. Unfortunately, details about Johnson's and Symonds' furnishing style have so far only come to the public quite, sparse. As The Independent reports, the couple is said to have bought wallpaper at a price of £840 per roll, which is characterized by the design aesthetics of Lulu Lytle, co-founder of the furniture brand Sown Britain. According to a report in Tatler magazine, vintage furniture was also purchased for baby Wilfred's nursery, and Symonds had the floor in the hallway stripped and the floorboards polished. According to a visitor to the renovated apartment who wants to remain anonymous, the interior is said to be very different from the John Lewis furniture nightmare when Theresa May's style of living was denigrated. The Electoral Commission has not yet made any direct allegations about who paid what to whom. Dominic Cummings, who was fired as Johnson's chief advisor in November 2020, poured fuel on the fire in a blog post covering the renovation work. He wrote, "The Prime Minister stopped talking to me about the matter in 2020 when I told him I thought his plans to secretly pay for the renovation from donors were immoral, foolish, and possibly illegal. And they would almost certainly be against them It violates the rules for the proper disclosure of political contribution if implemented in the way he intended. And I refuse to help him organize these payments, and my knowledge of them is limited. Well, we know to be careful with Cummings, but still. So far, the investigation has not come to a conclusion. It remains to be seen what the Commission will find out, where the leads are going, and what effects all of this will ultimately have on Johnson's tenure. According to reports in the Times, however, the Prime Minister is now struggling with new anger. The gold decor of the much-discussed wallpaper is crumbling. What a shame, and that for £840 a roll. Seriously, this man is a miracle. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.